nice thing about the Dancing Caddis is that it is a versatile dry fly. It can be fished dead drift, and that's the way that this fish took. It came over him, there was no movement, no twitch, and yet, because the hook rides up out of the water, even though it is flat on the surface film, you can twitch this fly. You can move this fly. We like to really move it sometimes quite a bit. That's a technique we call the sudden yard. One more trout on the Dancing Caddis. Now I'm going to show you how to tie it so we can put you in this picture. The adult dry fly caddis imitation becomes important, number one, when the adult comes back to the water. The female comes back, some of them do not dive under the surface. They land on it, they drop that ball of eggs, and then they're exhausted. They flutter and die. Maybe they kick a bit. You can use a dry fly, a standard dry fly, then. But there's something else about the dry caddis imitation. A mayfly dies as soon as it lays its eggs. They don't have mouth parts, they can't take in water. The caddisflies, adults, can take in water, they can even take in nectar from flowers. And they'll live 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even months in some species. They're always around the dark, damp spots. The trout get used to seeing them. You want to pick out a good searching pattern, put on a caddis dry fly when nothing is happening. You have a choice on the dry fly of 2 hooks. Now I like a pattern called a Dancing Caddis. There are a number of good patterns besides this. You can use a special hook called a Swedish Dry Fly Hook, and it's specifically designed to ride upside down. The hook is up out of the water. Now what advantage does that give us? Well, if the hook is out of the water, that fly looks correct flush on the film. It's a very good imitation of a dead insect, awash, unable to move. But with a hook up out of the water, you can also twitch it and move it and skate it. We'll do this one on a dry fly salmon hook. I like the salmon hook because of the eye doesn't close up the gap and allows better striking. Size 12, size 10, size 8, the very large caddisflies, I'll use this hook. When we get into a bigger insect than that, and there are caddisflies that are bigger, then you have to do something a little bit different. Take a rooster hackle, strip the fibers off. We're going to use this as a rib. Soak it. Again, you want it to be soaked a half an hour before so it's not brittle, so it won't break. I have one that's already been soaked. Tie that in, and then you can run that forward afterwards. Going to dub a fur body. Seal's fur is excellent. Beaver, mink. Water animals have that natural fur that resists matting, that resists getting wet. And those natural oils make a better dry fly. No matter how much dry fly floatant you can put on a pattern, you can also always use a little bit of extra help. I roll this to get it fairly tight, fairly opaque, because the body of the insect is opaque. And then wrap my fur body. Take the rib, and then rib the fly. Basically, ribbon adds a little bit of strength, gives a little bit of segmentation. Cut the stub. A wing. For this, we'll simply put the wing on and tie it down. You can use elk hair, you can use deer hair. Choose whichever one gives you the color that you're looking for. One of the most important acts you can do in tying deer hair is to comb it. You have little white fuzz. that gets in next to the fur butts. And that fuzz will keep the fibers from spinning, from standing upright. So you comb those out. Lay your wing in flat. Tie it down. I do like to go through these butts. It takes a few extra moments, but at least you know they won't slide around. And they're going to last you a number of fish. You can then cut down the stubs. Wrap your thread a few more times. You know, it only takes a few extra moments to make a fly a little bit stronger. It takes a couple minutes to tie an entirely new one. So I try to build my flies so that they'll last. For the Dancing Caddis, we use a very high quality hackle, and we do put a couple of hackles at the head to float it, because this is a pure dry fly. This is not designed to be fished wet or semi-wet. I'll take 2 hackles. Strip off the fluff. And lash them in. I like the dull side of the hackle facing forward. Gives it a little bit more body, a little bit more strength. Helps it stand up against the current. Doesn't get pushed back so easily when the fly is being twitched and moved. Using the hackle pliers, first wrap one. Tie it off. And then wrap the second. Have you ever seen the strike of a fish really after a moving caddisfly? I think to experience that you have to go to still waters. The caddisfly on lakes is one of the ultimate experiences that keeps fishermen coming back to a specific situation time and time again. Same thing on rivers, especially on the big wide pools. On streams like the Missouri, the Henry's Fork, or back east, the North Fork of the White. I love to jig a dancing caddis and move it and get those fish excited. A dancing caddis dry fly. It can be fished flush in the film, it can be skated. It's versatile, and that's what makes it valuable when the caddis females come back to lay their eggs.